Now that is a very nostalgic sound.
Hell yeah. Although I'm the person who sees that and thinks of Zombies Ain't My Neighbors.
You'll notice that this is in German. That's how this cutscene is.
Oh.
This is the original, yeah. Now, apparently what this is, someone has taken the translated English material from the PSP release of this game and just put it back into the PC Engine version.
Ah, okay.
I don't think there will be any difference between them. I'm not sure what that rendering issue is right there. Maybe that's just the video, or I don't know, but...
Oh, yikes, yeah, what?
That's not going to keep going, I'm sure. It's just the lightning flashes. And you see in other Castlevania games, this opening cutscene referenced a lot.
Ah.
Of course, there's Castlevania Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine, known in America as the TurboGrafx 16, a console that did not have Rondo of Blood on it.
I'm turning into fog. It's just...
Yeah. I also like how not in sync, like, you know, the wording and everything and the phrasing was changed, but when he said on human blood, that's when he said Fledermaus, which is bat. I don't know. Like,
I don't know a lot about the PC Engine. Like, I don't know how good it is.
apparently it has a lot of shmups on it. It did a lot more business in Japan, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so this game is properly referred to as Akumajo Dracula X, Rondo of Blood. And the X was just sort of appended onto the end of Akumajo Dracula, which is Demon Castle Dracula, which is the Japanese name for Castlevania. So Symphony of the Night is also called Akumajo Dracula X. I don't know what the Japanese is, but it's just Nocturne in the Moonlight. But so both games are Dracula X, which is why when a really bad port of this game came out for the Super Nintendo in America and was just called Castlevania Dracula X, that was very confusing to everyone. In Japan, it was called, I believe it was called Akumajo Dracula XX. I know that XX was involved, so that's what Castlevania fans tend to call that version of the game. But so me and SK were talking about doing Symphony of the Night, and I was like, well, let's do Rondo first, if we can find a short video for it, because it is the prequel to Symphony of the Night. They are two games in the Dracula X series.
Jeez.
That's why when the PSP had a release called like Dracula X Chronicles, that's why both of these games were on it.
Okay.
Which was, like, the main game was a 2.5D remake of this game, then you could unlock this game and Symphony, and in terms of this game, it was the first time it had ever been released in America on anything. You can get it now on, like, Xbox Live Arcade and, like, whatever, but...
I like that title card.
Yeah.
It's a very neat-looking effect.
A lot of neat-looking effects in this.
This is how it starts, huh? You're in, like...
Yeah, this is a little, like, pre-stage thing. When you play as Richter in Symphony of the Night, he's on this chariot at the beginning. You know, when Alucard runs toward the castle?
Yeah.
Richter's on that chariot. And I believe that the death sprite is the same in Symphony as in this.
I knew it was the beginning of Symphony of the Night is just the end of this game. I didn't realize they actually looked so similar.
Oh yeah, they really do, and like, now of course, in the American release of Symphony, it says ending scene Bloodlines in America because that was the last Castlevania game that had come out. So they're like, oh, we'll just say it's that one, even though it's obviously not. But yeah, so this is the last game that was made in the classic Castlevania style. It is very good. It's very, very respected. I have almost beaten it. I cannot beat the second to last boss, which is the hardest boss in the game. I'm told. I don't know how hard Dracula is because I've never fought Dracula.
I'm just trying to get... Like, Castlevania is a pretty silly name.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, we combine Transylvania with castles.
The idea of there being a castle, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember that, you know, the castle was called Castlevania. That was the idea. It was, oh, Simon Belmont has to return to Castlevania. You know, by the time there started being games with actual stories and shit, like, you know, it was just called Dracula's Castle,
right.
You know. But I think it was easier to just call that because, like, Akumato Dracula, I think, is what the castle's called in the Japanese version, because it's just Demon Castle Dracula. I mean, it might be like Dracula no Castle or whatever, I don't fucking know, but
it's just funny looking at, like, media nowadays, or, like, you know, old video games and then, like, new, or even just old animations and cartoons and stuff based on them. It's like they had to take these very silly ideas that were not meant to be fleshed out and flesh them out.
Well, and they weren't as silly in the Japanese versions either. I mean, it sounds like, oh, it was so deep in Japan. No, it wasn't really, but it was just a simple fucking game, but they're like, the marketing for it was very much, ooh, spooky, scary, go, you must fight Count Dracula, don't make sure he doesn't suck your blood, you know, I mean, it was that, and so, like, if you want a good time, read any of the old manuals for any of the old Castlevania games. They refer to levels as levels of terror, and everything is like that. Literally everything is. The picture of Alucard in the Castlevania 3 booklet, he looks like Count Chocula.
Oh, no.
It's great. But it never happened to this game because this game did not come out in America for a really, really long time. And yeah, I think... Yeah, it must be... I am used to seeing that in Japanese, so yeah, that must be an edit to the ROM. I remember me and a few people from Metro 2002 a while ago, and when I say a while, I mean like in 2004 or 5, spent a weekend trying to get emulated versions of this game to run, because PC Engine emulators were very, very finicky back then, and what we had then to end up doing was get an ISO for the game and burn a physical CD of it and make sure everything went perfectly, and then put that CD into the computer and run that with the PC Engine emulator with the right BIOS and everything. It was ridiculous. And I remember my copy of the disc, everything went fine except there was some glitch in it. The game was perfectly playable, but the boss music would not loop. It would just stop, and then all of the dialogue from the game's files, because I guess the boss music is like the last one in the file, all of the dialogue would start playing in order.
Oh, God.
In Japanese. And the first time I heard it, I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought it was just some voiceover cutscene that was happening during gameplay. It was really interesting. It was like, and it, like, it didn't not go with the boss fight, but yeah.
That reminds me, like, it's tangentially related, like...
See those zombies, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Symphony zombies. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, this series loves to reuse their sprites, so... But it is weird that they originated here. It reminds me of that, there was, like, King's Quest V, where, like, if you played, I think it was the DOS version, with the CD for the Windows version in the disk drive, something weird like that, it would cause it to load the wrong narration, or like
that's interesting.
The wrong dialogue. Yeah, like it would just load completely random dialogue, and so like everything just became like nonsense.
Now he did get a key from a candle here. I'm not sure if he's going to use it, but that matters. Oh, yeah, that sound. I gotta look that up. That sounds super interesting.
There's a video and it's really funny.
5 is the one. 5 is the $1 million one, right? The one with like the The good for the time graphics. The one with Cedric the Owl, that one.
Yes, that's the
Yeah,
one.
okay, yeah.
Oh my god. Did the key replace a sub-weapon?
Yes, you have that key until you use it. In this level, I'm sure he'll use it, otherwise he probably wouldn't have gotten it. It's the way you rescue Maria and unlock her as a playable character.
Ah. We still got Wild Turkey, of course.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, of course, this stage is just the first stage of Castlevania 1. Like, they use this layout all the time. And you know, a version of this stage is even in Symphony. Like this part with the mermen. You know that. Like it's in Symphony.
It might be in 4 as well, because the 4 is
the
the
one
I actually
is.
played as a kid. But I don't remember.
Yeah, so that was the key door.
Go away.
This is old school anime style.
It's weird how this reminds me a lot of another thing I'm familiar with through Retsuprey, which was oh god, what the hell was that game called? It had cutscene that looked very similar to this, like Ernest Evans.
Mister? A good guy?
Oh my god, he replaced the voices.
Vampire Hunter.
Sorry, go ahead. I was thrown. What were you saying about Retsuprey?
It just reminded me of Ernest Evans. Just like
Ernest
it's just
Evans.
That style.
Oh, Ernest Evans.
Yeah.
With the power of Bitcoin, I purchased pants.
Yeah.
Yes.
My name's Maria Renard. I heard all about you from the net. I came here
This,
I think it's this PC Engine thing. Like they just all had this style to them.
Yeah, well, because they could do this. You know, it was. We have discs now. There are discs and we have them. You know, and they weren't the first games that had discs, but they probably were some of the first with like hardware that could do a lot of the things they wanted to do with them. Maybe I don't really know, but
I can handle this just fine.
that cutscene is no more bearable in Japanese. But yeah.
Huh.
I remember Maria Leonardo, Vampire Hunter. I remember that very clearly.
That was just weird to see. Wow.
Yeah,
Like-
there are a few cutscenes like that scattered around it in this game. Not that many.
I mean like the actual graphical style, like the actual sprites. Like there's a lot of PC Engine games like I've just kind of seen that like it's like, oh yeah, there's that like one fighting game like Variable Geo, which never got over to America, of course, but it just has the sprite style that just looks exactly like that.
I mean, for all we know, it could have been animated by the same studio. But I mean, a lot of it looked very similar back then.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if PC Engine was the one that had all the weird porn games on it.
I mean, didn't they all? But that does sound right.
Like it was like.
Oh, this is cool. Watch the background carefully. There's a very cool effect here.
Oh. Is John Talbane?
Yes. And like, see that? And the tower collapses.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is, and so every werewolf enemy that you see in later Castlevania games is this sprite. Of course, in Symphony, there's a part where you fight a werewolf and a minotaur at the same time. Both of those are bosses in this game.
Oh, of course.
That's why werewolves always do martial arts, is because they do them in this game. I don't know if there's a deeper Japanese cultural significance to that, but
Right, yeah.
I very much appreciate that this game's in the proper aspect ratio as well, because it is not in most other versions, just because, like, you know, they're trying to render it on a PSP or whatever.
Yeah.
I know that the version of Symphony on Dracula X Chronicles uses the worst of the two rendering engines you can use on EPSXE. That one of them makes the game in the proper aspect ratio, and the other one doesn't. I think it might be like an arcade cabinet thing where the game is natively in a squashed resolution, but it will be on the machine will project it at the proper one.
Right.
And
yeah.
that lets it, you know, that it saves on processing power or whatever.
Yeah, because like I know Capcom fighters do that at least for the CPS2 era.
Yeah, CPS1 and CPS2 definitely, and whatever the other one is. There's that emulator you can get on PSP that is that and one of the other consoles because it's like or cabinets because it's like the same hardware basically.
Yeah. It's just it's funny because
go ahead.
This reminds me of like when you get like Mugen conversions for any sort of like Capcom character, like the sprite-based ones. The size file, I don't know what exactly it was, but it's something weird. It's like, oh yeah, their scaling is like 0.92% or whatever, or like times 0.92. It's like something random that just doesn't make any sense. But it's like that's actually how they were, or how they're supposed to be seen.
I think that so this guy seems to be just doing the main path for all the stages. In this game, every level has a secret exit that you can use to go to an alternate level. And as you like unlock them, you can go back in you can like load the game again and just select the levels. You can go back to the ones you missed, or like, oh, okay, I want to do a different exit from this one now. So that there is some replayability to this game, but we're going with a straightforward playthrough just because we're warming up and let's just see what happens. But yeah, Fleaman, obviously.
I love the church setting there. Like, it's so simple, but like just having
it works really well.
The rows of pews.
Yeah, and like one area that this game is definitely graphically inferior to Symphony in is the backgrounds, because they just don't have the processing power to do all the crazy, cool backgrounds that Symphony has. So they're doing a lot with what they have. Like, there's that pattern there just fading into the darkness. Like, you know what else is down there. You don't need to see it.
Yeah. Medusa heads. They reused some of these sprites for a long time, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and everyone says, oh, they're from Symphony. No, they're not. A whole lot of them aren't. I think not every single sprite in this game appears in Symphony, but a lot of them do.
No, this definitely doesn't, but...
I think it actually does. I think it's in the Inverted Castle. I can't say that for certain, but I think he's in the Inverted Coliseum, and he has some weird Latin-y name. I don't remember what it is.
I'm out there. Look at that, then. I'm
yeah.
Look familiar. But, I mean, they held up like they worked,
Oh, yeah, sure. Can't remember what... Oh, right, that was just a mid-boss.
Oh. This is a hell of a place we've got ourselves into. The candle room.
Yeah. It's good that we're seeing this with Richter as well, because, I mean, Maria's really fun to play as, but she's also a lot easier. Her whole thing is that she can move after she attacks immediately. She just throws her birds. That's how she attacks, and she doesn't stop moving when she does it. And she also has 2 jumps, so she can control her trajectory after she jumps, which Richter cannot do. Which, like, that's a Castlevania thing. That's the way Castlevania is supposed to work. But a lot of, like, especially when people played Dracula X Chronicles, they were like, "This game is really hard." It's like, "Oh, play as Maria. She controls more like what you're used to," The game is really designed for Richter, but
Richter's the one that has, like, that weird, like, slide kick, right? Is that not in this?
Yeah, I don't know if it is or not. I do know that all of the moves you can do in this, you can do in Symphony. Like, one thing that they're not doing very much is if you like double tap forward while you're attacking or something like that, or you press forward and instant after you press the attack button, your whip will flash gold or white or something and lengthen just a little bit, like lengthening your strike. Oh yeah, that was it right there, actually. It's and also you actually do have 2 jumps as Richter, but one of them is just a backflip. You can use it for evasion, kind of, but yeah, you can also do that in Symphony.
And then you have like these powered up versions of the sub weapons.
Yeah, item crashes. I don't remember what what the buttons for that is,
Holy
but.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's... Yeah, this started a long tradition of Minotaur's uppercutting. I don't think he has the slide attack in this. He fucking can't, because it would be so useful.
Yeah, he would be using it.
Yeah.
I mean, with like, you know, Kung Fu Werewolves and uppercutting Minotaurs, I think this series would make a really good fighting game, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would. It's a shame they never made one.
Granted, I mean, if you really want that, you could just play Darkstalkers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I just have,
assuming Capcom
Donovan be all of the Belmonts at the same time.
Oh, that was Crazy Bones.
I think this is just beginning. All of this music is remixed, which maybe the new music in this game isn't in the regular stages, or maybe I'm misremembering and these aren't the regular stages. Maybe these are the alternate stages. I don't think so though. No, because he would have fought a different boss in level 2.
It's a very complicated game. For
being a straightforward Castlevania game, yeah.
Still love the fact that like hearts are your ammo.
Yeah, do you know why that is?
No, why is that?
That is because that is a holdover from the very first version of what would become Castlevania, which is I don't know if any part of this story was preserved, but the whole thing was Simon, or maybe he wasn't called Simon, maybe he was trying to rescue his wife from Castlevania, or his lover, or his fiance, or some shit. And all of the video game mechanic things were love-based.
Huh.
It was like Valentine's and shit like that. So that's why they're hearts, and they just never stopped making them hearts.
I can see why they changed the theme, though. Seems kind of odd.
I think there are some elements of that remain in Haunted Castle, I think.
Bye.
Oh, I like this. This is a hidden area, actually. Like, I don't think you have to go through here.
Oh man.
But so basically, that the room to the left is someone is they're just metal or stone balls that are rolling down the whole length of it, and you have to avoid them. So this room off to the side is where they come from.
Oh my god.
It's like the factory that builds a new Larry in Leisure Suit Larry. Yeah, and this guy's only job is just to load them back onto the thing. See?
Wow.
You don't have to go there at all. It's actually the long way.
Just do it because it's amazing.
It's awesome, yeah.
Jesus.
I think that if you see like those stark blue backgrounds, I think those might be placeholders. Because
really?
they never look right. Like they never look like that was what was supposed to go there.
You look really plain.
Yeah.
So.
And this is why old Axe Armor is this sprite in Symphony, because it's the one from Rondo. They did have a much cooler looking version of it in Symphony, but old Axe Armor was also an enemy in the game. And other ones as well.
I forget what this enemy's called, but like this one looks a little better here, I think.
Bone Tower or Skull Tower or something.
Yeah.
It is the same sprite.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
I'm remembering it wrong.
I'd have to see it again to be sure. I think you might be, yeah. The one with the if you have to call a picture to your mind, think of the big staircase in the chapel. Because they are the ones that are like canted backwards. And you see that like when you whip that ball and chain thing, it adds vertices to the swing. Like there's no limit to how many times you can. Well, I mean it's like however many balls there are in the sequence. It's like 8 or whatever, but
yeah.
it'll keep folding in on itself more and more.
It's silly, just doing stuff just to do it, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's actually, because we were talking about, oh yeah, we should do Symphony, even though we played it a million times, and we've even done a video fest of it before. we should, there's a lot of like kooky stuff to talk about it, and I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna. It's my mom. I'll call her back. That was the Perfect Cell theme as my ringtone, ladies and gentlemen. Can't remember which boss this is. Oh, I think it's this. Is this Dullahan? Yeah. It is Dullahan.
Because that's like a regular enemy in a lot of the games.
Oh yeah, and also a boss sometimes as well. But yeah, usually regular. Now there's an enemy in the library in Symphony called Duran, like Dhur, and that's a mistranslation of Dullahan, but it's not based on this one. It's based on an enemy from Castlevania 3,
Jeez.
which is a guy with a rapier, and he's holding his own head, but he's like normal sized.
Oh yeah, okay. This series' history is insane. Like, it keeps, like, referencing itself, but it's always, like, creative with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's always creative with it, but it is frequently very creative.
I suppose there was harmony, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a game we have to look at again. Show me your wonderful Cockney voice.
No. This is a great level. It really, really is. It isn't that often that you see a full-fledged ship like this in Castlevania. There are ships pretty frequently, but not a huge one like this.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed
They're usually in castles.
in Portrait of Ruin. Hey, remember that fucker? I mean, he died immediately, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
In Portrait of Ruin, there are 4 stages, and then there are 4 more stages that are palette swaps of the 4 previous stages. That's what the good ending path of the game is.
Right.
And I didn't have it figured out that they would all be that way yet, because some of them are pretty good at hiding it.
Oh yeah.
But there's one of them where, because that game is Super Mario 64, the Castlevania game. The portrait that you go into is like a wrecked ship moored on a beach or something. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it was just. I was really looking forward to an awesome ship level, and it was just the same ass like circus theme level that was already in the game, just with like the boss fight was in a ship themed room, and they were probably planning on it being a ship, and then it like wasn't. I was so fucking mad.
Does that game seem rushed to you?
A little bit. It is fun. I do like it.
Oh, I liked it too.
It's a fun game, but yeah. The only one of the DS games that I will genuinely call a good video game is Order of Ecclesia, and that is possibly the best Metroidvania game ever made. Possibly. It's either that or Circle.
What about Dawn of Sorrow?
Dawn of Sorrow is what if Aria of Sorrow had better graphics, a worse story, and like the Souls mechanic was a lot more grindy instead. It had a lot of good ideas. It did sort of like if Aria of Sorrow didn't exist, I would like it a lot more. Like the Julius mode also rules in that game, because you can, it's you and Yoko and Symphony Alucard, wrecking shop, and that's the way it should have been originally.
I watched my friend play through the entirety of Dawn of Sorrow, and I don't remember a lot from it, honestly, but I do remember, I think he said the exact same thing. It's like, it would be a fine game if Aria didn't exist.
Yeah, but Aria does exist, and it honestly is more successful than Dawn is at being the kind of game that it's trying to be. The music is a lot better in Aria, and that's a big thing for me with Castlevania games. You gotta have good music because music in Castlevania games is pretty much never bad. And it's a story that just couldn't be told twice. The story of Soma Cruz. It doesn't work if you tell it twice. And they weren't, like, he knew at the beginning, he's like, oh, I'm the reincarnation of Dracula, but, like, spoilers, by the way, but, like, you know, they're just like, oh, and he goes back to the castle because there's a reason, I guess, but it's so unnecessary, and the villains that are there trying to resurrect Dracula again, it's like, oh, if you want to accept the power, maybe one of these guys can, you know, and it's just dumb. But Julius Mode does culminate with a Soma fight where he fights like Dracula, but uses like a lot of his souls. It's really cool, and it's really hard.
It's funny, like, it's one of those games like they did a sequel whenever they don't usually do that, like a direct sequel, you know?
And there was no reason to do one.
Yeah.
It was such a good, unique. Oh, this is a good example of a death second form that I like a lot. Because it's sort of clever. It's not what they usually do with the death second form. This is a real pretty fight.
Yeah.
It's neat having it at like the top of a, you know, a boss fight at the top of a yeah. See, this is a second form. That's all it is.
Did he just like do the spit thing?
I don't know.
There was a really tiny sprite, but he did like the thing where he kind of like spit and then he transformed.
Maybe he did. But yeah, it's just he takes out the scythe and fights seriously.
Yeah, I like that.
It's really cool, yeah. Like in Order of Ecclesia, where he just like starts fighting seriously, and like he gets that like marionette style sprite and starts doing a lot more complicated things, and yeah. This guy is not doing. He said he's doing that backflip. It is traditional to backflip into the fucking orb, and I don't know why he's not doing it. You're supposed to, if you make the stage clear screen freeze on the backflip sprite, you extra win the stage.
According to Awesome Games Done Quick, it's also traditional to yell out orb every single time you grab one of those because you're a fucking child.
Oh, okay.
I got so sick of that.
Stay away from me!
Oh god, what?
This is Bishy Dracula.
I was say that's
in exchange for your blood.
It's before they really knew how to make Dracula look cool, I think. He reminds you of Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, he doesn't. I don't know shit about Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, I don't either, except for Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, but, you know.
He's a really old Riku from Kingdom Hearts.
A savage, I would sooner kill myself.
As you wish. However, what exactly makes me a savage? If my existence itself makes me savage, is that not the result of this world? Are not all the people of this age savages as well? If so, I should be a shining beacon for what this world wants me to be.
Isn't it weird, like, with the visuals, but then, like, the script of the scene isn't that bad?
Yeah.
A very noticeable thing that the PSP version of the game did was retranslate all the dialogue, right? And they retranslated the famous opening scene into good dialogue. And everyone's like, no, they changed. It's like, yeah, they should have changed it because it sucked before. It's hilarious and legendary, but it sucks. And they didn't change any of the meaning of anything anyone's saying, but they made it amazing dialogue.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's actually not bad writing. It's just, it was badly translated.
Yeah, what they actually did is, like, sometimes they use it to, like, warm up for voice work. If we do Symphony after this, I will read that dialogue during the opening scene, because it'll all be in Japanese anyway.
Oh, right.
It was like, no, why are you not? Yeah, everyone knows it. Everyone knows what that original scene is. I've memorized all of that dialogue. Everyone has. You don't need a video that has that in it, you know?
That's true, actually. It's like, we all love it, but it's not... We've seen it, you know?
It is extremely available. That's the thing. You know, it is not hard to come by. If you want that version, you can have it, you know? I do like the sprite style in this game a lot, like for the backgrounds. It's very intricate and working very well with what it has. What the hell? Oh, okay. I thought this was the Shaft fight for a second because that was Shaft. But, this is not the Shaft fight arena, and it's not the stage that you face Shaft in.
What we were just talking about reminded me of something, and I felt like bringing it up despite the fact it has basically nothing to do with what we're watching right now.
Oh, go ahead.
When I watched Dragon Ball Z, I watched Kai, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
And the famous line, "It's over 9,000," was of course delivered a little more as you would expect.
Right.
But also, if I remember correctly, it was either in the subtitles, meaning it was like a translation of the original line, or it was in the actual dialogue. The line was changed to, it's something like, "It's over 8,000." And something about that just drove me up a fucking wall, because I'm like, somewhere, somehow, somebody took that completely arbitrary number and then changed it because they thought either it sounded too big or too small. And I can't
am going to blow your mind right now.
What?
It's actually supposed to be 8,000.
Yeah, but
that's the original. I think they changed it in I don't remember whether they changed it in the anime, like in Japan, or whether they changed it in the dub because it sounded bigger. I believe that because it's if you want to yell, "It's over 9,000," that rolls off the tongue a little bit better than It's over 8,000. I think that was the reason. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they were right. But I think that's why it was.
That's dumb. I don't like that. That goes against my logic. My understanding of logic. It's a big number. It's going to sound big.
That's another character that got an updated sprite in Symphony, by the way, because Creature looks very different from that in Symphony.
Oh, yeah.
That's an awesome sprite for Shaft. Dude, all of the animations in this game are so fucking pretty.
Jeez.
Wait, okay, so this is the Shaft fight then? Hang on. Is it a different Shaft fight? And is the boss that I'm thinking of not Shaft? For people watching this that know Castlevania, I'm thinking of the boss that is at the end of this stage that... shit. Or maybe they're just two Shaft fights. I'm thinking the it's a stage that opens up with a long bridge with bats on it that swing swords at you. Please don't tell me that was in this and I missed it, right?
Bats with swords? That sounds wild.
Bats with swords. Okay, never mind. Yeah, maybe this was just the first Shaft fight and there's more than one. I'm not sure that I've ever actually done this stage. I might have been doing it on like a different path or something. The actual Shaft fight, if that's what it is hard as balls. I think this is the stage, actually.
Well, here you go. That's all. It's a lot of bats flying in the background in very static patterns. But hey.
There is a, yeah. There's a way to do this. Yeah, this is the way you're supposed to do it. You are supposed to moonwalk. I don't... Yeah, you could not moonwalk if you hold down something. I don't remember what it is, but I don't think it's possible to do this stage without doing that. It's because they... Oh, maybe they don't have the swords. It is the same sprite as the ones that do have swords in some of the other Castlevania games.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's hard to keep a lot of this stuff straight because, like, there's a lot of enemies you'll see, and you'll be like, oh, this was in, like, 5 different games, and it looked different here, and it had a different attack there, and...
Note that the clock tower here is, like, the same fucking layout. But, like... Or more or less, anyway. But, yeah, like, I know that they did use that sprite, and they put, like, scimitars on the bottom of them, and then they would, like, mode 7 rotate to swing the swords at you. It's in Portrait. It might be in Ecclesia as well. I'm not sure. I don't think it was in Dawn.
That sounds doofy as hell.
It's a little doofy, yeah. Most of the sprites that hadn't been reused by the time Portrait came around, they used them.
I like the water skulls here. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think it's exclusive to this as well.
It doesn't sound familiar.
Remember that secret door in Symphony? I believe it's the same. It's located in the same place here, but it's not the same. Like you don't open it the same. Like, 'cause in Symphony, there's those gears that you have to turn until they click. And then you can open the door.
It's been a hot minute since I played Symphony, so
yeah, they're on. It's like on all 3 screens of the clock tower.
it's weird. Like Castlevania likes to repeat itself a lot, but it's like it has so many great ideas that it kind of gets away with it.
Yeah, it can just kind of do it again. Yeah, I mean, it does sort of. It is notable that, like, of all of the Castlevania games that Iga made, I would say that exactly one of those is a truly amazing video game, and that's Order of Ecclesia. None of the other ones are. And, you know, they all have the same assets, more or less.
You aren't hurt?
No.
Because, like, I would not call Symphony an amazing masterpiece video game. It's very important, but it's not like... It has some big problems.
Well then.
But I mean, some of its innovations is worth remembering, you know?
Yeah.
It's time to end this 100-year blood feud. Yeah. I'm gonna kill him myself.
No, don't. It's too dangerous.
But this is my destiny. Besides, his blood is calling to me. The path up to here is safe. Now get going.
Richter,
I'm gonna moonwalk out of this room.
Yep.
come back. Come back in one piece. Please.
Me and my giant forehead are gonna miss you.
Mm-hmm. I believe you could also, like, not do that, and you get, like, a different ending.
Jeez.
Like, you don't have to rescue any of the girl. I don't know if it's something they added in Dracula X Chronicles or not, but there are, like, multiple girls that you rescue, not just Maria and Annette, and rescuing all of them gets you a different ending. I think, like, one thing, like, an alternate thing is if you don't rescue Annette in DXC, then she, like, gets turned into a vampire or, like, a succubus or something, and you have to fight her and kill her.
Yeesh.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that fucking sprite.
Yeah. Jeez.
That's one of the best armor sprites in the entire series.
Ugh. That was
Yeah, that's a yeah. It's in Symphony as well, I think.
I also got my dog.
My dead dog. Got Rudy the Undead Hound.
Not a place to be.
Ah.
It's got like giant shoulder pads.
Yeah, it's very Gundam-esque.
It just looks like he just has the shield, but mounted on his arm, like upper arm.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess just isn't. I don't know.
Wait, I think that actually is what's happening, literally. I don't think that's a shoulder pad.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe, but yeah, no, you don't want your shield mounted on the best way to use a shield is actually not have it strapped to your arm at all. It kind of depends on the kind of shield, but it's like, you know, they always show that because it looks really cool and badass, but it's not what you want to do. You want to have a shield with a boss that lets you hold it in the center, then you can like move it around very easily. I watch Lindy Beige on YouTube.
Ah. They're like a skeleton, like posing all sexy, like in that picture.
Yes. Well, it's a mirror, but it's it's a cursed mirror.
That's a painting.
It's a mirror. You know, the image only appeared when Richter was going past it. It's a fucking mirror. Look at it.
There's one on the left. It's still there. Oh, I see the mirror there. I was talking about something else.
That's a mirror.
I see that. I kind of didn't notice the mirror. I was too busy looking at the sexy skeleton.
They're all mirrors. Oh, you mean that? Okay.
Yeah. Damn, that looks annoying.
Yeah, I think it's like a standard like space that you can stand in and be safe, but yeah. Okay, this is going to be the hardest boss fight in the game, I think.
The knife looks weird in this game too. It's like just super fast.
Oh yeah, it's real fast. I guess it's. Oh yeah, see they're marked with what sub weapon they give you. I just figured that out.
Or it's marked with what's that one? It's like a Kirby Dream Land 3 block. What the fuck?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Oh, it's Shaft's ghost or whatever. Which is weird because he's not dead in this or at the end of this game. He's still a character in fucking Symphony. This is really fucking hard, dude. You see how much fucking damage he's taking, even though he's like item crash spamming and everything?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh. It's so hard.
I'm surprised that thing didn't come out of the floor more because, Jesus.
Yeah, in my experience, it tends to come out of the floor a bit more than that.
That was almost instant. Just like, I'm here.
And here we go. Oh wow, it's called Bloodlines. Oh, maybe it just says Bloodlines there, and it's not supposed to be the game. But no, it's definitely supposed to be the game in the original Symphony. But they probably, I don't know, I don't fucking know, man. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe. I could be wrong about this. Could have been wrong the whole time. That's weird though, the way that the way that isn't graphical in this version. And how much better the lighting is. Well, not lighting, but, you know, the design of it is in Symphony.
Yeah, this looks a fair bit different.
This is basically exactly the same, though.
What is man? Okay, bye.
I think this was the first usage of Dance of Illusion.
You know, it's funny. Like, Symphony is probably most remembered for that cheesy cutscene that goes here. But in a game that has a bunch of interesting cutscenes...
There is no cutscene?
Yeah, there's no cutscene here.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't expect it, but now looking at this game in full, it's like, I'm surprised they didn't have one here.
Oh, by the way, that health bar is exactly the same as it is at the beginning of Rondo, and the other bosses don't have it. Like, the UI, I think, is the same in this part of Symphony. And, of course, like, the sprites are all exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah. I think Dracula's colors different. Like, the colors are all different.
Right, yeah.
Well, that looked a fair bit different.
Yeah, and that was also not, that was not translated. But, I mean, the way the second form looks, like, those sprites are the same.
Yeah, yeah. But are we gonna see Maria?
That, I mean, not in that capacity.
Okay.
It's the final boss. It's not gonna, like, she's not gonna appear and make you invincible. Yeah, that was definitely Japanese.
Wow. I'm just trying to figure, like, this is Richter's big game, isn't it?
Yeah. It isn't the only game that he's playable in, but it is the only game he's the main character of.
Belmont has defeated me.
It's weird that he doesn't seem to have the slide, even though that's kind of synonymous with him.
Is part of my fate.
Was that in New and Symphony?
To you, the world is not yours.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
It is not by my own power
Oh.
that I am resurrected.
Oh, well.
It is the greed of humanity which
Okay.
calls me back. And thus, by might, I rule. Might becomes the one and only justice in this
Of
world.
all the self-serving claptrap.
This isn't the same translation that's in the Symphony cutscene in this version of the game, or the version that this audio is taken from. It is not the same dialogue. Why isn't it the same dialogue? That's so weird.
Do you not have any desires?
It looks like the scene's just kind of different in, like, Japanese as well.
It is by your desires that you humans prosper, and it is your faith which has ruled you. Considering that, can you really call me evil?
But people cannot be ruled by power alone. The sacred, the honorable, the loved, those things can rule humanity. Something evil will eventually fall to ruin.
I see. Perhaps you're right.
What is that? What is that staticky sound that keeps like that? That's not from you, right? That's from the game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that. And then he's out of the castle. Even though it took him the entire game to get to the castle, he gets all the way back over here before it collapses.
I was about to say, yeah, it's...
Or is it? No, I guess
gonna
it had finished collapsing.
Oh, okay.
I guess, but yeah.
Well, alright.
Yeah, that's Maria Redondo. Yeah, so that was Rondo of Blood.
This
It
credit
wasn't
sequence
all
is
of Rondo of Blood.
significantly odder than the rest of the game.
Yeah, this is like the intro to like Pokemon Crystal.
Yeah. Rondo looks cool. Looks like a good game.
Yeah, and a more essential part of the Symphony of the Night experience than most people give credit for, I think.
Yeah. Huh. The credits are not consistent in how they type them out.
You mean in terms of English or Japanese?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
they're using-
fairly common.
Huh. I guess I don't see enough Japanese credits, to be fair.
Yeah. Because, like, if Iga had made this game, I guarantee you... He didn't, but I guarantee you, he would have, he would just put his name as IGA in English. And maybe he wasn't doing that when he first started making these, but... Oh, okay, well, he was in it, but he didn't, like, direct it.
Right.
Pop the top wada.
Ponce.
A lot of times, when you see Japanese like credits, well, not Japanese credits, but credits for any old school video game, all of them are in like they have stupid nicknames, and the reason for that is the companies wouldn't let them put their real name because they didn't want them to poach their talent.
It was some weird stuff like that. I've heard about that.
That was Rondo.
That was Rondo.